talking about the chapter 5 test. So what I'm going to do with the essay is I'm going to make that a listing question. Okay, so you got 6 steps to list, right? And then you got to tell me something about each step. Okay, so each step will be worth like 2+ points. Okay, because there's 6 steps, that's 12 points. I got 15 for the essay. So how about step number 4, floor consideration, will be worth more points than the other steps. The other steps will be worth 2 points. That's 10. Step 4 will be worth 5 points. Well, you need to write multiple things about floor consideration, yes. Yeah. Hi.
Just to make sure I'm understanding this correctly, so for the essay, we don't write paragraphs, we just like list?
Yeah, that'll work. That'll speed things up. Okay. Okay, so you'll do referral to committee, hearings, markup, floor consideration, and then 5 is conference committee, and 6 presidential action. So you need to list the 4 things that the president can do. You just be listing them instead of writing paragraphs, which will speed it up for you. Okay? Does that make sense? Okay, so let me tell you a little bit the format of the test. And guys, the vocab you guys did for this section is obviously handy for this as well. Okay, so the test has 15 matching. 15 matching. Split up into 2 sections. Makes it a little easier. Yes? Okay. So 15 matching, fill in the blank. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, fill in the blank. Multiple choice. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Multiple choice. True and false. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. True and false. There's a 5-point question on gerrymandering. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 1-point short answers. Now, what that's going to be, guys, is in part the leadership of Congress. The leadership of Congress. Like, who are those people? Who's the Speaker of the House? Who's the Senate Majority Leader? He's one of our senators.
I'm Democrat.
Chuck
Chuck
Schumer. Chuck Schumer is the Senate Majority Leader. Writing that down. And he's closest to Speaker of the House. So guys, guess what? The census numbers came out yesterday. Did any of you guys hear about it? Do you know who lost the seat? Not Kansas. Yeah, New York lost seat. California, for the first time ever, lost the seat. Okay, because California's always been growing. Now it's not. Okay. Ohio, Illinois lost seats, and then it's the western and southern states that picked up seats. Texas gets 2. Florida gets 1. some other westerns, like maybe Arizona picked up one. Utah, I think, picks up one. Over a decade, Kansas population increased over 10 years, 85,000 people. Okay, 85,000. So we will keep our 4 seats in the House. Okay, and I did hear this on the radio. So we're looking, remember how you draw these districts, right? Gerrymandering, okay, or a portion of the seats. So we will reapportion the 435 seats this year, going into next year, before the 2022 election. Okay, so if you look at the states that gained and the states that lost, red states gained, blue states lost. Most general. Okay, West Virginia is a red state, they lost a seat. They're going to be down to our size. Okay, so yeah, it's pretty interesting to see that. Something we've been talking about a lot lately, and so we finally got the census numbers. 330 million Americans. I was thinking we'd be up to 350, but we're not. This is the slowest growth in population for the United States since the 1930s. Okay, we grew at about a 7% clip over 10 years. 7.3, I think, was the number. So all that's pretty interesting and relevant to what we've been studying, for sure. Okay, so let's get to work. Okay, on this, we got a lot to cover. Congressional oversight. Is that what you have your first thing? Congressional oversight? Yeah.
No, Jacob's trying to tell me something. I can't hear him.
Oh. Okay. Sometimes considered a neglected function. Neglected function is now very popular. Congressional oversight is when Congress oversees the executive branch. Just goes back to that thing I like to say, right? The NSA is watching us. Who's watching the NSA? Okay, Congress is. Okay, Congress has a role to oversee the executive branch. Interest groups give members of Congress information. They promote legislation. Suggest legislation. Remember, interest groups are one of the factors that goes into a member of Congress and whether they're going to vote, how they're going to vote on a bill. Okay, immunity. Okay, members of Congress cannot be sued for what they say on the floor. So Chuck Schumer can get up on the Senate floor and lie about another human being and not be sued for it. They cannot be arrested while doing to or from their way to Congress. Cannot be detained. Okay, here's a good question for you. How many electoral votes are there? Total. Okay, you're forgetting one thing. You got 535 because you got 435 plus 100, right? And then the 23rd Amendment. DC gets 3. So how many total electoral college votes? 538, okay? And you got to have 270 to win, right? 538 and a half is 269. So you need 270 to win the electoral college. There's a quick question for you. If nobody gets a majority in the electoral college, who decides the election? The House. Okay, House and Senate requirements. How old do you have to be for the House? 25. 25 to be in the House. How old do you have to be in the Senate? 30. And obviously you have to be a U.S. citizen, right? For the House, how long? 7 years. For the Senate? 9. And you have to live in the state or district. This test is worth 63 points. I think you saw that. Okay. Ex post facto. An ex post facto law is one that is retroactive. Applies to an action that took place before the law was passed. Applies to an action that took place before the law was passed. Ex post facto laws are unconstitutional. You can't do them. Okay? So you can't create a law and charge somebody for a crime that was committed before it was a law. You know what I mean? You can't create a law to go after somebody from what they did before the law was created. Yeah.
What's constitution?
Constituents. Sorry, did I miss that one? People who live in a congressperson's district. So guys, we are all constituents of Ron Estes, the 4th District of Kansas. Anybody remember what franking privilege is? Yeah, members of Congress can send mail for free. Franking privilege. Members of Congress can send mail for free. Impeachment means to formally accuse. Who impeaches? The House. PACs. Political Action Committees. These are branches of interest groups that provide money, funds to candidates. They're part of interest groups that provide money, funding for candidates. Remember, I passed around that Coke pack. A portion. Okay, you think of portion, think about those 435 seats. Okay, so Texas is going to get 2 more. They get a portion 2 more based on their population. So it's dividing up the 435 seats after the census. It's apportionment. District is just a geographic area. That a member of the House represents. Census is the official population count. Over the years, guys, the census has gotten more and more detailed. So like, in 2000, I got the long census form where they ask you questions like how many cars do you own? How long is your commute to work each day? Do you own any pets? That sort of thing. So the census is now used for a lot of different things than just the population count. So if you want to open a pet store in Wichita, Kansas, you can see by going through the census, which is open to the public, how many people own pets in a certain part of Wichita. Okay, so it's really become more of a tool for businesses and for government to understand their populations. Like guys, knowing how much water you're going to need over the next decade for your population, and like that's a problem Texas has. They've got to, they got to have a certain number of hospital beds. They've got to, they got to plan for this sort of stuff, and the census is very good for that. We're not really changing much, so we don't rely on it as much. Okay, congressional power. You got constituents, that's people that live in a congressperson's district. Congressional powers. What am I looking at here? Let's come back to that. The face of Congress. Okay. So, remember I showed you that website that showed kind of how the 117th Congress is the most diverse Congress we've ever had, but still the Congress is populated mostly by white males, okay, Christians, professionals, people with degrees, that sort of thing, okay, your average member of Congress. Westbury versus Sanders, 1964. Okay, this came up with the precedent of one person, one vote. So instead of our drawing our district like that, okay, we draw them like this. Okay, there's the difference because this is unfair to the people over here. Okay, because there's a lot more people living over here than over here. So Westbury versus Sanders said each district has to have the same number of people in it, or very close to. Okay, so when they redraw these lines, now because we have a Democratic governor, the state legislature will redraw these lines, but she has veto power over that, so she could veto it. So they're going to have to work with the governor on redrawing these lines. Okay. And obviously Johnson County has really been the fastest growing part of the state, over the decade. Okay. So these districts will look different next time around. Okay. And there'll be a big fight over that in every state. Okay. Okay. Terms in office. How long is a House term? 2 years. How long is a Senate term? 6 years. Okay, so how many terms can they serve? And they get reelected. Okay, express powers. These things that are specifically listed in the Constitution. Express powers are specifically listed in the Constitution. Article 1, Section 8. Congress is empowered to do the following: borrow money, punish counterfeiters, declare war, make laws necessary for carrying out its powers. So much. Okay. Presidential appointments must be approved by When the president appoints a federal judge, who must approve it? The Senate. So he appoints like cabinet members, federal judges, ambassadors, okay, and called consuls. Consuls, guys in every country that we have relationship with, you have an embassy where the ambassador lives, and then you have a consulate where the consul lives. The consulate deals with things like visas, immigration, that sort of thing. The embassy deals with the other country, like our country dealing with their country. The consulate deals with travel and stuff like that. Okay. So when we adopted Lily, we went to Beijing. We didn't go to the embassy, but our embassy's in Beijing, but the consul's in the south of China in a city called Guangzhou. So when we adopted her, she was sworn in as a U.S. citizen at the U.S. consulate in China. So she was sworn as a U.S. citizen before she even left the country. So that was kind of cool. So a lot of people end up going to Guangzhou, which is a really pretty city. You guys ever been to Savannah, Georgia? You know the old story about General Sherman, his march through Georgia where he burned Atlanta. He got to Savannah, said it was too beautiful to burn, so he left it. Okay? That's what Guangzhou looks like in Savannah. It's a beautiful city. Okay. Davis versus Vandermeer, 1986. Extreme cases of gerrymandering are unconstitutional. Vice President. Who is that? Kamala Harris. And she is the president of what? Don't write that down. She's the president of what? The Senate. Latest approval rating for Kamala Harris, 49%. Poll taken 4 years ago at the same time, Mike Pence, 50%. So roughly the same. Party whip. What do these people do? Okay, they try and twist arms to get members to vote a certain way, and they count the number of votes they have. You know, I mean, they keep track of how many votes they have in favor of the bill or against the bill. Pocket veto. That's where the bill sits on the president's desk for 10 days, right? The president has it for 10 days. If Congress is out of session, it's an automatic veto. Speaker. Who's Speaker of the House? Okay. Now, she has a lot of power, right? Yes? So she decides which bills go to what committee, right? She's in charge of referral of bills to committee. She's also in charge of what committee her members, Democrats, sit on, yes? She's very powerful. Okay, appropriations are committees, congressional committees that deal with funding. Okay? Like when you're doing a budget, where are we going to appropriate the money? Where's the money going to go? Okay? Appropriations means funding. Okay, so usually if a bill goes to the House and it's going to spend money, eventually it's going to find its way through the Appropriations Committee. Okay? Majority party is the one with the most seats, yes? The party that controls the most seats in either the House or the Senate. Currently, the majority party of both houses of Congress is which party? The Democratic Party. Polls right now are showing that the Republicans will take back control of both houses in 2022. But people have to show up to vote. Okay. Still a long way away from that. A quorum. Now, if you guys do the extra credit tomorrow, like watch the movie, okay, you'll see this term quorum used, okay? In the Senate, you have to have 51 members present to conduct business. So if there's only 40 senators in the chamber, you can't conduct business. You need a quorum, which is a majority of the members present to conduct business. So I was once on the board of the Whispering Brook Homeowners Association. I was elected to that position by my neighbors. And in order to make any decisions for the homeowners association, you have to have a certain percentage of houses present at the meeting to change the bylaws. You got to have a quorum. Okay, it's a pretty commonly used term. Okay, quorum. Okay, so if you're going to have a committee hearing for the school, okay, let's say, or a committee meeting, so we have 8 communities and only 2 communities show up, can you really conduct business? Yeah, you kind of need a quorum. You know, if you had 6 of the 8, you might just go ahead and have the meeting. You know what I mean? Okay. Standing committees are permanent committees in the House and Senate. Permanent committees are standing. There's 19 in the House, 17 in the Senate. I'm just a bill. I'm proposed legislation as a bill. Proposed legislation. Subcommittees. Smaller, more specialized committees. So under the Agriculture Committee, you may have several agriculture subcommittees that are more specialized. A cloture, how many votes for a cloture? 60. Used to be 2/3. 60 votes, and a cloture ends a what? Filibuster. Filibuster is a delaying tactic in the Senate. That prevents a vote from taking place. House Rules Committee. Okay, remember, there's two things. How long they're gonna debate and whether they're gonna allow any amendments or changes to a bill, right? Okay, these are the two things they make rules on. In the Senate, they don't have any rules on this, right? In the House, they have open, closed, and modified. So any bill that goes through the House before it goes to the floor, goes to the House Rules Committee, and they set the rules for that bill, for each individual bill. And then guys, that's just because there's 435 members, and you can't have endless debate and amendments with that many people. Okay, it would be too chaotic. So they got to have some strict rules in the House. Did I talk to you guys about pork barrel spending? I think I brought it up. Okay. Generally, pork barrel spending is seen as wasteful spending. So in these big budgets that we see pass through Congress, you'll find little things in there, like $150,000 to studying the mating habits of the Japanese quail. Okay, what? $150,000 for that, or another $150,000 to refurbish William McKinley's in-laws' home in Columbus, Ohio. Well, William McKinley's home is no longer standing, but the closest they had was his in-laws' house. So they wanted to keep that as a monument. So they needed some money to fix up the place. This is wasteful spending, pork barrel spending. Probably the most famous of this is back about 15 years, 20 years ago, there was a senator from Alaska that put in a bill. Remember when we talked about these bills and you add things to them? Okay, this senator added a $250 million project to build a bridge, okay, in Alaska. This bridge would go to an island where 500 people live. They were going to spend $250 million to build this bridge. Now, 6 months out of the year, you can drive across the ice to the island. The other 6 months, you have to take a ferry across. Okay? And they called this the bridge to nowhere. And it got axed when people found out about it. Okay? But there's a member of Congress from Oklahoma, Louis Gohmert, that will put together top 100 list of pork barrel spending every year. He'll publish it. Of wasteful spending that they put in these bills. Okay? Now, in reality, this makes up less than 1% of the entire budget. But 1% of our budget, which is over $5 trillion, is a lot of money. Okay? Expulsion. Guys, this is the harshest punishment a member of Congress can receive. It's kind of the harshest punishment a student can receive, yes? We do not impeach members of Congress. We expel members of Congress. A censure is like getting written up. It's like a demerit. Okay? It's like a slap on the wrist. It's just a formal way of, criticizing a member of Congress for their behavior. Like when Maxine Waters encourages people before the verdict is read in the George Floyd case to be more confrontational. Telling people to be more confrontational. She has not been censured. Committee hearings. Yeah, you guys know about these. This is where people come and testify, right? About a bill. Either the good or the bad. People that support the bill, people that oppose the bill, experts on the bill, ordinary citizens, or even celebrities to draw attention to it. Personal staff, I don't know, it's grown over time, okay? So at the beginning, there really weren't any personal staffs. Now, members of Congress rely on those personal staffs. Interest groups on there again, sorry. Joint committees, okay, joint meaning both House and Senate working together. These committees are more clerical in nature, so not political, clerical, like Joint Committee on Printing or the Library of Congress. Okay, these are not political committees, they're clerical. Just, we got some business to take care of. House and Senate come together, work on it, get it done. Roll call vote is just when they call each member's name and they say yay or nay. Usually they use roll call votes on very important votes. I'm not sure if this is on the test or not, but I'm going to talk about the line item. It's a pretty interesting law that actually it was a Republican Congress gave to a Democratic president, Bill Clinton. They passed this, okay? Now, this was found unconstitutional. So here's a bill, okay, that's sent to the president. Okay, here's all the information in the bill, okay? And there's a spot for the president to sign, okay? What the Republican power that they gave to the president, they said, hey, listen, we want to cut some of this pork barrel spending out. We need to cut spending. We're spending too much money. So after Congress passed a bill and sent it to the president, they gave him the power to take this part out, this part out, this part out, and then sign it. This would help keep the budget down. Okay? Why is this unconstitutional? Who passes the law? Congress. The president can't do this. If he takes these things out, he's making the law. You know what I mean? This would have to go back to Congress to be voted on. Okay, it's kind of a neat idea, but it's unconstitutional. Okay? In fact, the guy that challenged this was the mayor of New York City, Rudy Giuliani. There was some money in one of these bills for New York City. And Bill Clinton said, we're taking that out. And so Rudy Giuliani, the mayor, sued, saying the president doesn't have this power. The Supreme Court said, yeah, the president doesn't have this power. Line item veto is unconstitutional. Okay? It's a nice idea, but can't do it. Got pocket veto already. Conference committees. Okay, conference committees reconcile two versions or compromise between two versions, the House and the Senate. Right? Talked about that multiple times. Once the bill reaches conference committee, it's a good chance it's going to pass. Okay. Now, gerrymandering. You guys, everybody remembers the big apple I drew up on the board? Okay, and how you draw districts. Let's start with the origins of this term gerrymander. It goes back to 1811. Write that down. 1811. The governor of Massachusetts Governor Elbridge Gerry, Massachusetts, drew a district that looked like a salamander. How do you apply gerrymandering in drawing districts? Okay, so remember, most states, it's the state legislature that gets to draw the districts. Okay, so you could gerrymander by carving up your opponent's strengths. Carving up your opponent's strengths, weakening their power. So like I can drive around Wichita, Kansas right now. We get on the bus, the cheese wagon, and I can show you where Republicans live and where Democrats live. Okay? So if you're the Democrats and you have control, you can carve up the Republican strength areas, break them apart into different districts. Or to gerrymander, you can concentrate your strengths in a district. Like draw a district where there's a lot of Republicans or a lot of Democrats so that you win that seat. And both methods are used. Okay? So that's 5-point question explaining gerrymandering on test. Okay? All right. 6 steps. You know what they are? They're in the notes. You've got 1, referral. And 2 F's. And 2 L's. 2 R's. Referral to committee. Hearings. Markup. Floor consideration. Conference committee. And presidential action. Okay. 2 points, 2 points, 2 points, 5 points, 2 points, 2 points. So in this floor consideration, you should write about the House having a House Rules Committee, open, closed, or modified. You should write about this, that the 2 things they focus on are debate and amendments, how much debate or how long they'll debate, how many amendments or changes they'll allow. Okay, that's in the House. Okay, there's 435 members. Okay, and then over in the Senate, the rules are, there are no rules, there's no limits on debate or amendments, but you can set them with a unanimous consent agreement. That's 100 to 0 vote. You can set limits. If there is no unanimous consent agreement, this allows for a filibuster, a delaying tactic to prevent the passage of a bill, but a filibuster can be stopped by cloture. The Senate, 60 votes. There's your 5 points. How's that sound? No intro, no conclusion needed. Nice, easy, quick, easy to grade. Okay, you can just do bullet points. Okay. like an outline if you want, something like that. Yo,
What do we put on congressional powers?
okay, listen. The House has certain powers, the Senate has certain powers. Okay, let's go. House. If it's going to spend money, it starts in the House, right? It's going to tax you, it starts in the House. The House has the power to impeach. The House has the power to decide elections if there's no majority. Yep. The Senate has to confirm presidential appointments. The Senate has to approve treaties. 2/3 majority. The Senate runs the trial in an impeachment case. Special power. Good? Have a great day. Study. You better study.